everyone, and welcome to yet another video. Again, this week we are going to be doing avatar DIYs, except this time I'm going to alternate some mediums. Last time I did this, which you can check out in the link up here, I did it with all chipboard, or like cereal box material, and I made Avatar Roku / Zuko's Prince crown thing, whatever you can call it. I also made Katara's necklace and Sokka's boomerang. So in this one, I'm going to be trying some more Avatar inspired sorts of things instead of things we actually see in the series. Except for one. I think one of my ideas is kind of recreating a prop again. Today, my plan is that I would like to create a Pai Sho tile, the White Lotus tile that Uncle Iroh uses. I would like to create a Tui and La, I believe that's how you pronounce it, pin or set of pins. And I'm also going to be embroidering an Appa shirt and doing like a tie-dyed kind of blue and white vibe on top of it, so that it kind of looks like he's flying through the sky. That is the direction we are going today, so without further ado, let's get started. For the Pai Sho tile, you are not going to need too much, just a little bit of clay. I just used a color that I don't have all too much of because we will be painting over it. You could obviously sculpt the little tiny details of the tile in the clay. I thought that seemed a little complicated. So all you're going to do is take off a little piece of clay, roll it into a ball, and then press it down. This way it kind of keeps a more circular shape. I find that if I just kind of squish it together and then pop it down, it tends to go a little more rectangular, and you're going to need something a little bit rounder for this particular kind of craft. And then you're going to want to roll it out a little bit in every direction until it's about 1/4 of an inch thick, like the directions will indicate. The directions say you need to cook this at 275 degrees Fahrenheit, or I believe 130 or 135 Celsius for 15 minutes per 1/4 inch. So just to make it easy and get it in there for 15 minutes, that's what I did. I'm also using the top of this teeny tiny candle to create just a nice simple round shape. Remove the excess. So once you have this shape, you're just going to bake it as the instructions indicate. I left mine in the oven for 15 minutes, and I got this. For some reason, this one looked so much like a Thin Mint. Like, I guess this is also a low-key polymer clay Thin Mint tutorial. If you made it like a 1/2 inch thick, this would be a perfect Thin Mint cookie out of polymer clay. But I did bake it already, of course. And next things next, I have kind of these edges left over from where the candle top kind of creased into it, so I'm going to sand these edges off, and then we are going to start painting. So to paint, I've got two major colors because I have a brown backdrop, and actually it kind of matches. It might be a little bit darker, but it does kind of match what it looks like in the show. And I've got a deep orange and a deeper like yellow. I've also got some teeny tiny paintbrushes, and I believe I wanted to kind of go in and sketch some things out first. So I do have a reference image up right here, and I think I'm just gonna go for it. So to keep the design simple and to explain it as simply as possible, I divided the Thin Mint cookie into 8 different sections and added 2 little humps or petal leaves to the top of each corner, and painted the entire thing yellow with a little circle in the middle. This is the start to the lotus. Now the center circle is going to be orange. Then I added dots and created 2 orange ovals side by side to create each of the 8 petals for the White Lotus flower. Is it the most perfect thing in the world? No. Is it identifiable? I think so. I think I would be able to look at this and tell that it was the Pai Sho tile. I keep wanting to say tablet for some reason. That's why I keep stuttering every time I get to it. But it is a tile. One of my edges is a little bit thinner than the others, so that's kind of, I guess, where I'm grabbing it from here on, but I definitely think this would be a passable prop. Now don't turn those ovens off yet, we're going to need them for this next one. For this one I'm going to be using Shrinky Dinks because I think it is the most cost-effective way to create pins, and I think if you have a design that you really like, it's actually really easy to trace them because Shrinky Dink paper is see-through. So you can pretty much copy any design onto here that you want to create into a pin, earrings, a pendant, whatever the case may be. I'm gonna go with pins because I think they're a little bit more universal, though I did see the absolute most adorable pair of Tui and La earrings where one was Tui and one was La. I thought that was super awesome, and I've considered doing that, but we'll just have to see what happens once I bake these. So first things first, you're going to want to find a design that you like. I just pulled this one off of Google, and I am going to trace it onto my Shrinky Dink paper. So I'm going to do that in 3, 2, 1, go. And there we go, we have it all done. I have 2 of the full Tuay and Laws at the bottom, and I have separate ones so that I can do individual pins. I think this would be a great like gift for a friend or a set of friends where one could have Tuay and one could have La. I think I'm actually going to use acrylic paints for this. I did check online to see if acrylic paints worked well with this, and apparently they do. I did do this on the rough side. I drew on the rough side so that it'd be easy to erase, and that way once it's done I can flip it over and display on this shiny side. You can totally tell the difference even on camera. Alright, so I think I'm done with my painting. I tried a couple of different things to see kind of what worked best, and I totally actually forgot about halfway through my first one, which I think was this one, yeah, that if I wanted to flip it up and have the shiny side up, then I need to have the details on the bottom, and then I needed to paint over top so that when I flipped it, the details would show up first, as opposed to, say, you know, coloring with the white on this side. Instead, I needed it underneath. This one, I used a flat brush to cover first, and it turned a little gray. It's not horrible, but it's definitely noticeable. I double layered just about everything, and this one I actually used a pointed brush and went through, and that looks way better, and then I went over top of it with the second layer with the flat brush. And I switched up here to my individual ones to the white jelly roll, which was awesome. I would definitely recommend this if you have that, and a black Sharpie fine liner for the more detailed bits. The only other thing I'm going to say while I am cutting these out is, especially on the black koi fish, I'm going to cut around these really roughly and then get the details in a second. You need to erase the pencil lines underneath it, because if you do not, then unfortunately the pencil line will show up instead of your white paint. Everything is all cut out, and I actually ended up finding that I had some earring backs actually laying around, and I really loved those earrings, so I'm actually going to make them myself. So super easy way to turn any of these Shrinky Dinks into a keychain. So you could have one of these, simple keychain, or to attach it to an earring back and a jump ring like this. You're going to need to add a hole in it. You need to add the hole in at this particular moment. And now when they shrink, they will have a hole there, and make sure you just make absolutely certain that you have enough space left. Let's bake these. Unfortunately, I don't have a window in my oven at this apartment, so I am going to skip the recording of that and just come back when they're all done. All right, they're all done, and I wish I would have done them in colored pencil. But I do think they actually turned out pretty good. Maybe not as flat, a little more wiggly than I wanted. If I would have done it with colored pencils, I think it would have gone a little smoother and a little easier. It's almost like the paint prevented it from even wanting to shrink all the way completely, and it's still kind of chipping off. Also, something happened with this one. He got a little chubby in the face compared to his companion, but I think they look really good, and now all that's left is to add the pin backs and earrings. I think I'm actually going to turn the bigger one of these into a magnet just for funsies, and yeah, that is the plan, so BRB. Here are the earrings. To keep things looking nice on the back and the front, I think I might do a layer of acrylic paint on the back and then seal it in with a spray seal. But I think they're really cute. I think these are super cute. I really like them, and I actually think I'm gonna wear them, even though I don't usually wear like bold statement earrings like this. I think they're really fun, so yeah. Here I have the magnet, which had an adhesive on the back, but I reinforced it with some hot glue just to make sure it was extra pretty. As you can see, super gorgeous on the back with all those paint chips, but it does stick. And lastly, we have our pin. I have a dab of E6000 on the inside so that it will last nice and long, and I reinforced it with hot glue. And all you have to do is put your little back on, and boom, you've got a nice little pin. And finally, for our last craft, you are going to need a shirt, and you are going to tie-dye it. Or you can be like me and be super lucky and find a pre-tie-dyed shirt in the perfect colors on sale. I would recommend an ice tie-dye method where you scrunch up your shirt like this, put it on top of a rack, layer on some ice, and then layer on the dye on top of it and let it melt. It will leave these really like kind of cloudy sort of pictures on it, or images, ink blots, if you will. And I did want to have a lot of white and like this sky blue color so that it looks like the sky, and we are actually going to embroider Appa on top of this and then turn him into an iron-on patch so that he can go onto the front of the shirt. Obviously, you can iron anything onto this or create any sort of design. I'm going to embroider him. You can obviously purchase a patch or embroider straight onto the shirt. I am going to embroider separately, and I think because I could literally spend an entire day talking about how to embroider Appa from start to finish. That could easily be its own video. I'm just going to do a little snap of my fingers and have him appear here. And if you need any help understanding the basics and how to outline shapes and fill in shapes, you can actually check out this video up here. It's one of my most popular on how to do basic embroidery stitches. So 3, 2, 1, let's go. And Appa is embroidered. Now all we're going to do is take him out of the hoop, and you're going to use heat and bond. I use the red Ultra Hold. This is a no-sew heat and bond. It's really, really awesome, and it's relatively inexpensive. I got this big old chunk of it. I've had this for years, actually, for $2.99 from Hobby Lobby. So all you have to do is flip him over and follow the directions to add some heat and bond on the back, and then cut him out. He is all cut out. His horn's a little thin, so that was a little risky. But you can see that you iron the back of, it's double-sided obviously, both sides are sticky. So you iron the first sticky side over top of the paper to kind of flatten it. And this is great for embroidery on the back because it kind of flattens all the stitches, and even if you have to cut through some of them on the back, don't cut through any on the front, but if you cut through some on the back, it's okay because it's already tacked down with the iron-on adhesive. If this is really, really big, I would recommend fabric gluing a flat piece of fabric on the back so that you can apply the heat and bond more flatly, but because I don't have all too many threads on the back, or at least not so many that it was crazy bulky, I didn't really mind. So I just peeled that off. Now the only issue is this shirt stretches just a little bit in this direction, and I think a little bit in that direction too. So the concern is that when I put it on, if I iron this on as is, then it's going to stretch when I try to wear the shirt, and I don't want that to happen. I want to be able to iron this on so that when it stretches, it's at its full capacity, and it, you know, when I take it off, if it kind of crunches in on itself, that's fine, but I want it to look good while I'm wearing it, obviously. So I am going to need to put the shirt on, place Appa somewhere on my chest, wherever I want him, and give him a little bit of an outline so that I can determine how I need to stretch this to iron him on. Okay, I put the shirt on, and I traced Appa out with a water-soluble ink so that when I get this wet, it will just disappear. And you can tell, just by putting Appa on top of it, that it definitely does stretch a little bit in this direction. Not too much, but enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take that same embroidery hoop that I embroidered him on, and I'm going to stretch this around so that I have a nice flat taut surface for me to iron on, and I'm just going to go until he fits back into the outline. I definitely recommend this outlining method, especially because even if it's kind of like crooked or it looks crooked in the embroidery hoop, I know that I kind of have the hoop a little bit twisted and the shirt's a little twisted, so when I set him here, he's still going to be centered on the shirt as I had originally drawn him on. So I think this is where we're going to go, and I'm going to follow the directions on the back of the heat and bond to iron him onto the shirt. Alrighty, I made sure to iron him on both sides so that he's nice and secure. He is not going anywhere. You can also tell by the way that this shirt is wrinkling that the stretching has worked. It's tried to return to its original form or its unstretched form, and it's not fully going, which is fine. This is exactly what we wanted. Now I've just dampened this Q-tip with some water, and I'm going to be erasing the outside lines because they are ugly and they take away from the shirt. And here it is on. It looks really, really good, actually. I'm really, really happy with the way that this turned out. And I think the stretch and merge worked perfectly. I think gosh, it's like exactly what I wanted. I'm so excited. I got the earrings in. I also did want to say these are actually a remake. I did recreate them with colored pencils only, and that worked way, way, way better on pretty much every front, so I would highly recommend doing this with colored pencils if you have the opportunity. And of course the pie show tiles. So I'm all avatared out. I think this went way better than last time. Not that the last one went poorly, just that I think the things I made this time are a lot cooler. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe. I put out new videos every Sunday at noon Eastern Standard Time, and I'd love for you to be here for the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you then. Bye!